Good morning. My name is Bob Gordon, and I'm a dedicated member of this congregation. Please take your seats, turn off your cell phones all the way off to allow our wonderful new sound system to work properly, and take this opportunity to greet each other for a moment. Welcome to the Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. We honor you wherever you are on your spiritual path and know that there is something wonderful for each and every one of you here this morning. I have this book by Deepak Chopra, Power, Freedom, and Grace, which is really an extraordinary book that is very deep in its analysis of issues pertaining to spirituality. And one of those issues is addiction. All addictions are really a search for the exaltation of spirit, and this search has to do with the expansion of consciousness, the intoxication of love, which is pure consciousness, and the avoidance of a sense of bondage, which really gets in the way of pure consciousness. Your spirit is inviting you to step out of the prison of memory and conditioned responses into the experience of freedom. And the next step in the flight to freedom is to observe your addictive behaviors without judgment. Addiction is the number one disease of civilization, and it's directly and indirectly related to all other diseases. Besides physical addictions, such as the addiction to food, tobacco, alcohol, and drugs, there are psychological addictions, such as the addiction to work, to sex, to television, to shopping, to appearing young, to control, to suffering, to anxiety, to melodrama, referring to drama queens and kings, and to perfection. But last but not least is the addiction to always sitting in the same seat. The words to our morning chant will be on the screen, followed by the words of the spiritual mind treatment by Francine Huss. Thank you. I knew you would enjoy that.
Thank you, Bob. Since Bob has already handled the question of dealing with your familiar seats, if you haven't been here recently, I just want to remind you that if you're sitting where you always sit, now is time to go meet somebody new, sit in a different spot, and give yourself the opportunity to shift consciousness. And if you've already done that, I'll take your word for it this morning. What we're going to do is we're going to sing this song together, and then we'll go into the morning meditation and everything. And when we're finished with all of that, we've had our prayer and we're entering into the service, and I get ready to welcome everyone. The next thing we're going to do is bless the food that you brought today for the bins out in the lobby, which are against the walls next to the restrooms. So if you have food with you that you brought, just keep it with you right where you are, and we'll do that blessing so that when you leave today, you can put it in the bins, okay? Everybody got that? I wanted to say it while you were actually really paying attention to me. Because once we get done with this, it's over. So, let's sing.
Everything I need to know about what lies before me. Everything I need to know about what lies before me is available to me. I look up within me. Everything I need to do. What lies before me, everything I need to do. About what lies before me is available to me. To me, I love God everything I need to know about what lies before me. I need to know about what lies before me. It's available to me. It's available to me. I love God within me. I love God within me. I love God within me. I think this might be a new one. I don't know if we've done this before. Okay. May I walk in beauty, may I walk in peace, may I walk in beauty, may I walk in peace, may I walk in beauty, may I walk in peace, may I walk in beauty, may I walk in peace. May I walk so lightly on this Mother Earth. May I walk so lightly on this Mother Earth. Oh, may I walk so lightly on this Mother Earth. May I walk so lightly on this Mother Earth. May the long-time sun shine on everyone. May the long-time sun shine on everyone. May the long-time sun shine on everyone. Yeah. May the long-time sun shine on everyone. May the wind blow clear, open up my mind. May the wind blow clear, open up my mind. May the wind blow clear, open up my mind. May the wind blow clear, open up my mind.
I invite you to join me within. And let us begin by taking a deep breath as I become conscious that this breath is always available. This breath is the life-givingness that is always present. And as life itself, this breath is exactly where I need when I need it. This breath is nothing I need to worry about, save up for, or doubt that it comes. It is available as spirit is always available and present. This one life, this one power is everywhere, in all places, in all people, in all situations. It is that which is the source of everything. Everything in the visible world and everything in the invisible as pure potential, as possibilities, already exists right here and right now. I am one with it as this breath is one with me. We are one with this life. We are one with each other. There is nothing that separates us. We are never alone. And so I become conscious of that which is always available. And I call forth an opening for each one within the sound of my voice to join me in that consciousness, knowing that as I am conscious of that presence, I feel presence. I am the presence. As I become conscious of peace, I feel peace. I am peace. As we become conscious of that holy and divine life, we feel holy. The ground upon which we stand is holy. And so I know that for each one of us here, whatever we came for, whatever we seek is seeking us. Whatever we invite is right here already. So may we become conscious of that which we need most, that which we love, that which we choose, and allow ourselves to feel it and to know that we are it. I give thanks for this realization. I give thanks for this oneness that joins us together in this consciousness, in this breath, in this inner place. I give thanks for that which is the healing today, the celebration today, that which comes to us through the music, through this prayer, through the talk, through a kind word or a smile, through the breath. I give thanks and release it back to that which invited it forth, that which makes it all so, brings it all here, and so it is.
May I walk in beauty, may I walk in peace, may I walk in beauty, may I walk in peace. May I walk in beauty, may I walk in peace, may I walk in beauty, may I walk in peace, may I walk in beauty, may I walk in peace, may I walk in beauty, may I walk in peace.
Wake up, lay down the burden. Leave it alone, time to move on. Step up with a light heart. Shine it all around, do your part. With a word like a prayer, send it out everywhere, it will grow. And the truth of this force leads us back to the source we all know. Live out the best of your life. Live out the best of your life. Take a chance, reap the reward. It's yours to be had, what you're looking for. Make it up as you go along. No one can say what's right or what's wrong. With a word like a prayer, send it out everywhere, it will grow. And the truth of this force leads us back to the source we all know. Live out the best of your life. 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 With a word like a prayer, send it out everywhere, it will grow. And the truth of this force leads us back to the source we all know. With a word like a prayer, send it out everywhere, it will grow. It will grow. And the truth of this force leads us back to the source we all know. Live out the best of your life. 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 Live out the best of your life.
Suzanne.
Thank you. Bodie, Amanda. Thank you.
Suzanne Baldwin, thank you very much, Bodie and Amanda. That was great. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. I'm Reverend Mary Murray Shelton. I'm the senior minister and community spiritual leader here at Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. I am delighted to welcome you all. And if you happen to be with us for the very first time, our welcome team is up here at the front. They don't take names, but what they'd like to do is give you a packet of information about us. And I'll tell you, in the packet, you're going to find a blue card, and if you turn this blue card in back at the membership table back there, they're going to give you this little book for free. So it's a win-win all the way around. You don't have to be followed home or anything. All you have to do is get your packet, and you get a gift. So if you give us a wave, they will come and bring you a packet. If you're here for the first time, make sure that you get one. And then fill out the blue card. That would be great. Thank you. We'd love it that you're here. Thank you very much for being here with us this morning. Also, on Ceci's behalf, I want to let you know the new Science of Mind magazine is available now, and it has Bishop Carlton Pearson on the front of it. If you don't know his story, you really should get this magazine, at least for that, if not for the daily guides. He's quite an amazing guy, and I won't go into his story here, but Ceci has those over there. She's also got some left for October in case you're missing your daily guides, so those are available. And good. Now, those of you who brought food this morning for the donations, you're going to notice out in the lobby, there are big bins up against both walls out there. Those big bins, when they're full, we estimate that that'll be 400 pounds of food. And that's what we're aiming for, is to get those bins filled up. Now, I'm going to talk more about it later at the end of the service when I do announcements. But if you already know about it and you brought food, I just want you to, bless you, just take it and hold it in your lap or in your hands right now. And if you were given a can upon entering because you didn't have anything, hold that. All right? For today. Now, as you hold this gift in your hands, I want you to know that someone who is hungry is going to receive this. And they don't know yet that this is being given for them. So what I want for us to do together is to know that everything that we're sending out of this room for anybody to eat is deeply blessed. So it not only nourishes the body, but also the mind and the emotions and the spirit and the hopefulness of their lives to step forward into something that serves them even better in their lives. So take your gift and hold it. And in this moment, in the silence, bless it with all good things for those who are going to receive it. And so it is. And so you can keep those. I'm not going to have you all dash out to the lobby right now. Okay, just please keep those, and you can put them in the bins, take them out of the bags, and put them in the bins after the service. That's great. Thank you very much. Delighted to have that opportunity. All right, so we are celebrating 100 years of Science of Mind, which is our spiritual philosophy and teaching, because our founder published his first book 100 years ago, Ernest Holmes. And we've been following along with the monthly themes with all the other centers for spiritual living until this last couple months, because we are in our commitment program, our fall 8-week commitment program. Next week will be our Pledge Sunday. And so we'll invite everybody to participate in a special ritual. Now, some people will already have done their pledges, but for those who are here, we're going to do a very special morning. Don't let Pledge freak you out so that you decide not to come. You want to be here for this experience. But I want to let you know that will be next Sunday. So we've been going through this 8-week program, each week making our choices about commitments we want to make, and then affirming that throughout the week. And our theme this month is the theme of the overall program, which is Dare to Live the Life You Came to Live. I was reading something this morning in the book, The Untethered Soul, about what a gift death is to us, because it reminds us that all of the good that we're experiencing in our lives and everything that we associate with our life, our body, our friends, our families, our stuff, our jobs, our cars, our whatever, we're going to leave all that stuff behind at some point. And so what if we lived every single day of our lives as if this was the last day or the last conversation? Think about how much attention we would give to every person we love, every conversation we have, every meal that we eat. If you know that's the last time you're going to taste that particular thing, that's the last time you're going to lay eyes on that particular person, think how much presence you would bring to that, how much consciousness and awareness. And so why do we waste our lives thinking there's always more instead of experiencing and tasting them right where we are in the moment? So today, our theme is Dare to be conscious. Dare to be awake and aware and present for your life. So a middle-aged woman who'd had a heart attack was taken to a hospital emergency room, and while she was on the operating table, she had a near-death experience. And so when she saw God, she said, "Is this it? Am I finished? Is this it?" And God said, oh, no, hey, don't worry about it. You have 30 or 40 more years after this. You'll be fine. So upon her recovery from her heart attack, she made arrangements to actually stay in the hospital, have a facelift, liposuction, a tummy tuck, breast augmentation. She even had somebody come in, give her a manicure, a pedicure, change her hair color, all of that. And she thought if she had 30 or 40 more years to live, she ought to make the most of it. And so after this complete redo, she walked out of the hospital and was struck and killed by an ambulance that was roaring in up into the emergency entrance. And she arrived in front of God again, and she said, what happened? I thought you said I had 30, 40 more years to live. And God sheepishly replied, sorry, I didn't recognize you. We don't actually have to worry about not being recognized by the infinite because our bodies are not going to be staying with us anyhow. We are right now at Halloween, that time of year that is ancient in its recognition, in its celebration. In the Catholic tradition, which I grew up in, November 1st is All Saints' Day. So if you grew up in a Christian tradition, you might know that. All Saints' Day, November 1st, that's when everybody that was extra super holy gets celebrated. So the day before that, which is October 31st, is All Souls' Day, the Day of the Dead, right? Dios de los Muertos, yes? Something roughly like that. Yeah, so we celebrate the Day of the Dead, which is everybody dresses up like ghouls and vampires and zombies and whatever, and goes trick-or-treating in honor of this walking of the souls on the planet. So it used to be that the night before a particular holiday was actually when it started. Days were calculated from sunset on. So the new day began at sunset. That's actually why the Seder in the Jewish tradition is at sunset, because Saturday is the holy day. So at sunset on Friday, that's the beginning of the holy day. That's when the meal is happening and the candles are lit and the prayers are said. So Christmas Eve, Christmas evening, actually began at sunset. That was Christmas. So Christmas Eve is the beginning of Christmas in that old tradition. So All Hallows Eve is the beginning of All Saints' Day. All Hallows means all that's holy. So All Hallows in Halloween Eve is the night before. And so this is a particular time when it was thought in the ancient traditions that the veil was very thin between the other side, that unseen side of being, and the side that we live on, the earth side that we live on. So this is looked upon as a time when magic is afoot, essentially. And so we have on our altar a whole celebration of this magic, from the flowering to this wonderful pirate girl up here. Now you might say pirates are not real conscious. They're not being really conscious, maybe. But this gal in the costume is actually a doll that was made for Marsha Dawson by her grandmother, and it's 65 years old. And it was given at Halloween time. And so she's dressed in her Halloween garb, but she has been around for a long time. So she's kind of our representation of all of our relatives, family, friends, ancestors on every level who have gone on, but whose energetic aliveness might still be present with some of us, okay? So that's our representation of consciousness and Halloween and maybe unconsciousness. Anybody in here ever go unconscious? And I don't mean pass out. I mean just blah, you're not really there, yeah? We do that all the time, don't we? You know, that kind of thing where we're not really quite paying attention to what's going on. So there is a growth of consciousness that goes on. Now, we've been talking for the last 4 weeks, or the first 4 weeks of our 8-week program, about the power of intention. And then this 4 weeks, we're talking about the power of action. What does it mean to get into action? So what does it mean to be conscious from the perspective of action? It's a process that is a growth of consciousness. Being present. You know, when you're very tiny, You're present all the time because everything is so fascinating. Everything is so interesting. Your attention is always on what's right in front of you, what's happening, not because you're trying to figure it out, just because you're savoring the experience of it. And then we learn to be analytical and to think about it after we went away from it and before we come back to it and imagine what might be coming next and worry about what we said last week or what did that mean, what they said to me. When we're looking at the idea of being conscious, I actually think of it as courage 2.0 because being conscious requires some attention, some intention, some action, some willingness, and it requires some courage because it also means we have to be present with moments that aren't as easy for us. We need to be present in moments where there's sadness or hopelessness or illness or lack or fear. Rather than pushing that away, be present with it as part of the wholeness of our experience of life, as part of our own holy path, whatever that is. And so our thought and our behavior evolve together. When we use a positive affirmation, we're changing our thinking. But unless that actually gets through to changing our behavior, nothing's really shifted. So we say change your thinking, change your life. But it's not just about talking good ideas and knowing how to say it. It's actually about being willing to shift what we do, too. And the evidence of changed consciousness is changed behavior. So we want to approach both the thought and the behavior in this being conscious, being aware. The first part, our intention, is like the steering wheel. We're deciding what our destination is going to be. We're using the steering to get us there. So our intention is focusing on where our destination is, where we want to go. Does this make sense so far? Right? And then our action is stepping on the gas. The action that we take, you could sit in the driveway with a motor running, turning the wheel, and thinking about downtown San Francisco, but if you don't actually step on the gas, you won't really go there. Also, if you step on the gas but you keep your hands off the steering wheel, you probably also won't end up in San Francisco. And it could be so much worse. So we have the intention then, and we have the action, pushing on the gas pedal. And everything we're entering into with our awareness can be newness when we let it be. You know, I like to say, quote Mary Mann and Morrissey, who said, some people live 99 years, some people live 1 year 99 times. We don't want to do that. There's no reason to do a rerun of somebody else's life. They already did it. There's no reason to keep having the same day every day ourselves. That's not what we're here for. We're here to experience and express the newness. And every day contains newness when we're present for it. So, Emmett Fox said, your life has not been rehearsed. It is an adventure, a discovery, and a training. An adventure, a discovery, and a training. Now, I think, Iron Man over here this morning. Yes. If you need assistance today, we have two kinds. We have the practitioners over here who can pray for you, and we have Iron Man over here who can fly up in the air and do amazing things. And we're always happy to have Iron Man at this service when he's available. So when we're taking action, we're reaching for the stars. We're not just reaching for the same old stuff we were after every day. We're reaching for something further away, something larger, something we have to stretch for, something we have to become more for, something we don't know how to do already. Because if we already know how to do it, then we're probably doing it. But what we're here for is to be more, the greater self of us. And so we're reaching out. If we do the same behavior over and over again, what we get is looping results. They're just the same thing over and over again. Anybody see Groundhog Day? Remember that movie? No matter what he tries to do, the day ends up the same. Everybody who dies or, it all goes the same way every single day. But even that becomes a training for him. He becomes a better person. He gains skills. He ends up using the time in a useful way. So when we take a risk, then, we create newness and growth. And awareness and action grow further out of that when we're reaching for the stars. Raymond Charles Barker, one of the original Science of Mind ministers, wrote in The Death of Evil, "To receive the divine inheritance planned for you from the foundation of the world, you must die to something, or something in you must die. This whole spiritual concept has nothing to do with physical death. It is a death in the mind of that which has outlived its usefulness." We carry around a lot of beliefs that we got planted in us or that we took on when we were kids that are not really useful ideas. But we've been carrying them around with us for a long time. We may think we're not good at something, or that we ourselves are not good because of things that were told to us when we were kids. We got to throw that stuff out. Any thought that you think about yourself or about the world that's painful has got to go. Because somewhere in that, it's a lie. No matter how much evidence we think we have for it, there's more truth back there behind that painful thought. That is more true than the pain that we're immersed in when we're thinking the painful thought. So we take a risk in letting that stuff go because it feels safe to us to hold on to it. It gives us an excuse to be limited, to have people feel sorry for us, or to feel sorry for ourselves, or to take that role on as a victim where you can blame somebody else. Is this making sense what I'm saying to you? We've all done some of that, and we all know people who've done some of that, and there's some of it that we're actively engaged in now because it just makes sense to us, but it's hanging us up. It's still hanging us up. So when we think about this shooting that took place over the weekend at the synagogue, or not the weekend, earlier this week, a couple days ago, at the synagogue, we hold those people in our hearts whose lives were taken. We hold those first responders who were injured or killed in our hearts. But also, we can't put out of our hearts those who are so frightened that they think this is a solution. There is tremendous pain in the idea that that is an answer to something. Can you see that? You don't emerge into that sort of behavior without coming from some thoughts that cause pain. And to suffer in that way, I don't want to go there. When we are in that frame of mind, in that level of behavior, we need someone to stop us. But we don't have to have them stop us with hatred. Because ultimately being stopped from that is a place of love. So even those that we have the most negative thoughts about, those we disagree with the most, those that we can't understand, those that we just, it's beyond us, how they think or what they do or say. You all know somebody, right? You all have somebody in mind already that you're thinking of, yes? Be honest, yes? So this morning, we want to consciously send those people love. Now, love is powerful. It's healing and transformative. That doesn't necessarily mean tomorrow these people are all going to behave differently or agree with us. You know, Ram Dass said once, that's how you know someone's wise, because they agree with you. He was joking, of course, but we tend to take that really seriously, I think. What we want to be able to do is transform our inner behavior so that even those that we are most in disagreement with can walk safely through the corridors of our minds. That's a huge thing, to try and take that on and be conscious in that way. When we choose to be conscious of something, what we do is we essentially intensify our desire for the vision of the world that works for everyone, We intensify our desire for that. And we also risk the action that it takes to do that. You know, when we're all in agreement with everybody we're on Facebook with, then maybe everybody we're in agreement with on Facebook wouldn't necessarily understand if we start making room in our hearts for people we've all agreed don't deserve to be well regarded. But the job really is inside us. That's where it has to start. A friend of mine was in a personal growth training many years ago. And the trainer said, all right, I want you to take your piece of paper and draw a circle on it. And so everybody got their pencil out and they drew a circle on their piece of paper. And my friend was sitting there, and he had kind of a medium-sized circle on this piece of paper. And he said he looked over at the gal sitting next to him, and she had drawn this circle that filled up the entire page pretty much. There was really hardly any place on the outside of the circle. And he thought, well, you know, that's dumb. She's got no place to write notes now on it. And then the trainer said, now, I want you to know that the size of circle that you drew on your page represents how open-minded you are. And my friend's hand shot up, and he stood up and he said, excuse me, I understand what you're saying, but I drew a medium-sized circle on my page, and I'm very open-minded. And the trainer said, I'm sure you are. How open-minded are you about closed-minded people? And my friend sat down. There's a place where we lock down, and we lock our hearts down because somebody doesn't deserve that. But it's not up to us to decide from their outside what their inside is like and what God sees and what their soul is trying to learn and what that soul truly deserves. So this is hard for me to do too. I'm not trying to suggest that I have this figured out at all, but I want to invite us into this difficult place because this spurs that kind of spiritual awareness and growth and depth and knowing that we're held and that even when we screw up, and even when we screw up badly, that presence never wavers in its knowing of the essence of who we are and what we were created to be. Richard Bach said in his book, Illusions, in order to live free and happily, you must sacrifice boredom. It is not always an easy sacrifice, because boredom is safe. If the world bores you, it's not living up to its potential. But what if it's only because we're not living up to ours that we're bored? Buckminster Fuller said, the minute you begin to do what you want to do, it's really a different kind of life. When we take on this larger task in the world, it expands the soul that we are. It's not easy, but not everybody gets this message and is called to do it. Not everybody even knows what I'm talking about. So if it reaches you, then you're being entrusted with something, and it won't be easy. And you probably won't do it perfectly. I certainly never do. But maybe you will, and you might become a light for somebody else. And in that lighting, that one soul, that one candle, it might shift the whole world. We don't know. We don't know. David White, the poet, said in an interview something very interesting. He said, Coleridge said that you can't start off being a philosopher in order to be a poet. But every poet turns into a philosopher. You have to, he says, just because of what you uncover. You start articulating things you did not want to know, thank you very much. And so when we're engaged in that creativity of our soul in life, we will begin to see things and become aware of things inside ourselves and in the world around us that we did not want to know. When the Me Too movement started, lots of stuff came out we didn't all want to know. But the knowingness is the becoming conscious. The knowingness is important. And then the responsiveness becomes important. How do we hold this? What's appropriate? What do we do next? It's not always clear. So when we intensify our desire for a world that works for everyone and we take action, it reveals both the desire, which means it may reveal the desire to us that we didn't know we had. It also reveals our vulnerability. So that's the risk we're taking. When we step out there to stand for this, it's a risk. It may not be received well. It also invites the universe to bring us more, to entice more response from the universe in relationship to ourselves. And things can start changing very quickly, and they can affect us in all sorts of ways. So we're stepping into something larger than we're familiar with. And so we want to step forward with consciousness and compassion. This is, I think, from the Chicago Art Museum. This is a statue of Kuan Yin, the Chinese goddess of compassion. When we step more deeply into consciousness and compassion, it focuses our awareness and our attention. It may then lead us in terms of where we spend, invest, or give our love, time, and money. I always say that what we give our love and attention to, we get more of. It multiplies. Our attention multiplies that in our lives. Well, the same is true with our attention. We pay attention, or we invest attention, or we receive attention or interest, right? Love, time, and money, those are the ways we know what we truly value. That's where we invest. That's where we spend. It also increases our sense of presence in the moment. You know, I was talking to somebody earlier this week. My dad died at age 50. I have 3 brothers who are now in their 80s, and I'm 65. All of us outlived our dad by decades, or at least 1 decade and more. I can't even imagine, when I think back, being older than my own father. His life was over early. Mine is still happening, but we never know which breath is our last, which sunset is our last, which cloud, which raindrop. We don't know that. So when we enter into greater presence and awareness, we get the blessing in the moment that is actually here, right now, in this moment. And so when we enter into it that way, what we begin to do is we create a new us, a new you, a new life. At the installation on Friday last week, a week ago Friday, at the very end, Josh Holmes sang a song, I'm feeling good, feeling good. And the beginning of it is, it's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. It's not the old dawn. It's not yesterday. It's not the same old thing. It's a new life because we are a new person. We can do this in all sorts of ways. Go to a restaurant where you feel it's not for you because it's too high class for you. Go to a restaurant that's really, sit down and have a cup of soup or a cup of coffee and take it in and take ownership of that abundance that is available in the world as a part of you. Go to a beautiful garden that you could not imagine yourself taking care of and stand there and breathe it in. Take your space in it. Own that beauty. It's there. Why not take advantage of it? Is this making sense, what I'm saying to you? I want to share a little story with you about what happens with presence, and I'll wrap up with this. This is an excerpt from a story from Chicken Soup for the Soul. Lee Shapiro is a retired judge. He is also one of the most genuinely caring people we know. At one point in his career, Lee realized that love is the greatest power there is, and as a result, Lee became a hugger. He began offering everybody a hug. His colleagues dubbed him the hugging judge, as opposed to the hanging judge, I suppose. About 6 years ago, now this was a long time ago when the book was written, but Lee created what he calls his hugger kit. On the outside it reads, a heart for a hug. And the inside contains 30 little red embroidered hearts with stickums on the back, and Lee will take out his hugger kit, go around, and offer people a little red heart in exchange for a hug. He's become so well known for this that he's often invited to keynote at conferences and conventions, and he shares his message of unconditional love. So Many years ago at a conference in San Francisco, the local news media challenged him by saying, it's easy to give out hugs here in the conference to people who self-selected to be here, but this would never work in the real world. So they challenged him to give away some hugs on the streets of San Francisco. And followed by a television crew from one of the local news stations, he went out on the street, and first he approached a woman, just a woman walking by, and he said, "Hi, I'm Lee Shapiro, the hugging judge. I'm giving out these hearts in exchange for a hug." "Sure," she replied. "Too easy," challenged the local commentator. So Lee looked around. He saw a meter maid who was being given a hard time by the owner of a BMW she was giving a ticket to. He marched up to her, camera crew in tow, and said, "You look like you could use a hug. I'm the hugging judge, and I'm offering you one." She accepted. The television commentator threw down one final challenge. "Look, here comes a bus. San Francisco bus drivers are the toughest, crabbiest, meanest people in the whole town. Let's see you get him to hug you." And Lee took the challenge. As the bus pulled up to the curb, Lee said, "Hi, I'm Lee Shapiro, the hugging judge. This has got to be one of the most stressful jobs in the whole world. I'm offering hugs to people today to lighten the load a little. Would you like one?" The 6'2", 230-pound bus driver got out of his seat and stepped down and said, "Why not?" Lee hugged him and gave him a heart and waved goodbye as he pulled out, and the TV crew now was speechless. Finally, the commentator said, "I have to admit, I'm very impressed." One day, Lee's friend Nancy Johnston showed up on his doorstep. Now, she is a professional clown, and she was wearing her clown costume, makeup and all. She said, "Lee, grab a bunch of your hugger kits. We're going to go to a home for the disabled." So when they arrived at the home, they started out giving balloon hats and hearts and hugs to the patients. Lee was uncomfortable. He'd never before hugged people who were terminally ill, severely developmentally disabled, or quadriplegic. But after a while, it became easier with Nancy, and Lee acquired an entourage of doctors, nurses, and orderlies who followed them from ward to ward. And after several hours, they entered the last ward. These were 34 of the most severely affected people. The feeling was so grim, it took Lee's heart away. But out of their commitment to share their love and to make a difference, Nancy and Lee started working their way around the room, followed by the entourage of the medical staff, all of whom by now had hearts on their collars and balloon hats on their heads. And finally, Lee came to the last person, Leonard. Leonard was wearing a big white bib because he was drooling. And Lee looked at Leonard dribbling onto the bib and said, "Let's go, Nancy. There's no way we can get through to him." And Nancy said, "Come on, Lee, he's a fellow human being too, isn't he?" And she placed a funny balloon hat on his head. And Lee took one of his little red hearts and placed it on Leonard's bib. He took a deep breath and leaned down and gave Leonard a hug. And all of a sudden, Leonard began to squeal, "Ee! Ee!" And some of the other patients in the room began to clang things together. And Lee turned to the staff for some sort of explanation, only to find that every doctor, nurse, and orderly was crying. Lee asked the head nurse, "What's going on?" He said he would never forget her response. "This is the first time in 23 years we've ever seen Leonard smile." What if they had left? What a transformative, healing moment that one heart, that one moment was for everyone in the room. So we don't know when we go forth from here who we say hello to, who we send a little extra light to in our hearts, who we decide to forgive, who we decide to include that we've always excluded before from our hearts. We don't know just how the thought of extending love out to that person may create a healing energy in the universe, a ripple effect, may create a healing, transformative energy within ourselves, right here, right now. So our challenge is to lovingly expand to include this week and to be more conscious about it. Namaste. Thank you. All right, now, before we pray, is our time that we're going to do our commitments. I know, we're running late, I know. Get over it. You all have this wonderful poster, or if you don't, go back and get one at the membership table after the service. They're yours for free. This is our 8-week program. So these are the 4, whoopsie, wait, gotta go back. These are the 4 we did the first week. Now we're on the power of action. Here's where we are now. This is what that looks like on that lower right-hand side. Last week we did connection. Today we're doing consciousness. So, let me see here. Deborah, would you come up? And Paula, would you come up? And Maria, are you back there at the back? Maria. And who else is back there with you that has a clue what I'm doing? Frank, come up here with Frank. Come on up. You guys go to the back. There are about 5 or 6 in a row. Just hand out, 6 or so to the row and pass them down. These are our little commitments. What you're going to do with these, if you choose to commit to be conscious this week, it says, I dare to be conscious. If you're going to choose this challenge this week, then I would like to invite you to sign it and date it. Today is the 28th of October. If you sign it legibly, you'll see that on the backside of your Sunday program, there's a sheet that has the names of everybody who committed last week to connection. So this week now, we're committing to consciousness. Here's your little commitment card. You're going to put your name and the date on it, which is the 28th, and then hang on to it because it's going to go with your offering into the offering basket. So don't do anything with it yet, just hang on to it. And remember, this goes with the offering, not instead of the offering. Just to be clear about that. All go into the offering basket, okay? So you've got this, and then if you're making that choice, then we're going to give you also an affirmation. This affirmation is going to go on your poster at home. So what happens is you get this affirmation that says, I am growing deeper in awareness of oneness with all that is. I resonate with the one in joy. And you're going to take this home and you're going to stick it on your poster right there. So the same 4 people, would you come up and get the affirmation slips? And then you're going to go and give these out also. So Frank and Maria. And then the extras of all of these, just pass your extras down to the end of your row. And these folks will collect them so that they'll be at the back. Hang on to that. Those are going to go back to the membership table. Yep. Now, if you were not here on a previous Sunday and you never got the poster and you never got any of the previous commitments, they're all back there at the membership table. And you can still sign to commit to all this stuff and get all the affirmations for your poster, even if you're just starting this week. We'll do this right up till the last week. So when you get your little affirmation, I'm going to ask you to stand up. If you get your affirmation card, you've got the commitment card. Once you get your affirmation card, stand up, because we're going to say this together. These are extras to go to the table on the back, the membership table. All right, let's say the affirmation together. I am growing deeper in awareness of oneness with all that is. I resonate with the one with joy. Yes, thank you. You may be seated. Thank you all very much. I want to make sure that you know to go back and get your poster and sign up for every single commitment and get all of the wonderful affirmations that go with that. And now, we've got to pray. Yeah. Quick prayer and then music. We're going to pray fast. So I'm going to invite all of our beautiful practitioners in their stoles to surround the room. And I would like to invite you, especially today, to bring to mind and hold in your heart any thought that causes you pain. Any thought that causes you pain. Just bring that into your awareness. Right here and right now, we lift our consciousness to an infinite presence of love. This presence overflows into form, becoming all of us, all of creation. It is an overflow of the love of Spirit in form. It is the vibration of Spirit slowed down enough to become visible. And all of it is right where we are. All of that love, all of that presence of wholeness and healing, all of that transformation. And so I do now know for all of us, as an expression of the love of the One, that any painful thoughts in our hearts today are being touched and released, healed and resolved, dissolved into their native nothingness, let go as easily as a helium balloon to float away from us where they never belonged. And in their place, we invite and take in a balancing thought of blessing in its place. Invite a balancing thought of blessing, a claim of wholeness, of good, of love, of peace. Invite it in, even wordlessly if you can't think of the words. And let these be planted now within us, knowing that this is our true nature. What we're really doing is revealing what's always been here by letting go of what was in the way. And so we let that go and we bless it on its way, leaving us whole and available to more love, more grace, more peace. We're deeply grateful for this. And so we release this prayer into the law where it is manifesting now and into the heart of God where it never was otherwise. We let it go and we let it. We simply let it be so. And together we say, and so it is. Yes, thank you.
I've come a long way down this road, always learning as I go. But you can't look backward and get ahead. It's time to lead and not be led. Goodbye limitation, hello liberation. Goodbye frustration, hello to living my life by my design. Breaking these chains that bind my mind. Learning to color outside the lines. Dare, dare to be, dare to be, dare, dare to be, dare to be, dare to be, dare to be unconventional. Uniformity is getting old. Time for gutsy, time for bold. Time for me to break the mold, to find out how far I can go. Goodbye limitation, hello liberation. Goodbye frustration, hello to living my life by my design. Breaking these chains that bind my mind. Learning to color outside the lines. Dare, dare to be, dare to be, dare, dare to be, dare to be, dare, dare to be, dare to be one of a kind. Goodbye limitation, hello liberation. Goodbye frustration, Hello to living my life by my design, breaking these chains that bind my mind, learning to color outside the lines. Dare, dare to be, dare to be, dare, dare to be, dare to be, dare, dare to be, dare to be, dare, dare to be, dare to be you.
Suzanne B.
Is it on? Yes. Yes?
Hello.
Oh, there we go.
Hello, thank you. Thank you. Will the ushers please come forward? Now, if you're here for the first time, thank you for coming. And your presence is a gift to us. And so for the rest of us, will you please take your offering or your pledge card, hold it over your heart, and join me in this blessing. This gift is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it creating a world living in love, one heart at a time.
At a time.
A time.
And so it is.
Go ahead.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. Oh, yeah. You are the face of love. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are the face of love. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. Let's see, where's my little card? Oh, there it is. You are the face of God. Did you remember to turn in your little slip? Oh, yay. Okay, good, good, good. Come on over here. Come on over here. So, on behalf of Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, we do, all of us together, accept this offering with great gratitude. And we send it out to do its work in the world, blessing and healing everywhere that it goes. And so it is. And the same with all your wonderful commitments in there. Thank you, Jett. Yeah, here we go. All right. Now I'm on to gratitude. Yes. We're grateful for you. Thank you for being here today. It's delightful to share this morning with you. There is a lot of information back on the events table at the back, and I want you to be aware of that. You're going to want to stop and have a look at that, and I'll let you know what's coming up. But I want to thank everybody on the AV team. So I want to thank Jim Homa, who was here early this morning, making sure we had a room set up, and Rick Walt on sound, and Ron and Tom on the video, Ceci on the PowerPoint, and our beloved practitioners, the ones here at the table in their souls, are the ones who are on duty today for prayer. Don't leave with a painful thought in your heart. Go and get one of their many prayer sessions after the service to help you with that. That's free, it's available, it's right here. And if you have questions about practitioners, look for one of the other practitioners not at the table in a stole, and you can ask them about what that all entails. I want to thank everybody who brought food, all of the Sunday team that's been handling welcoming and greeting and getting the food out and helping us with pens and everything else for this morning. I want to thank the musicians, of course, Suzanne and Amanda and Bodie. Who have I forgotten? And I want to thank Julie Roby, who is heading up this food donation program that we're doing. So we'll get to that in just a second. First of all, today was supposed to be Pizza Sunday, the fundraiser at Marin Pizza for us. No. It was a full moon this week, and the universe surprised us by us discovering that actually they did not have the same understanding about today that we did. So it's not happening. So if you plan to go out for pizza with friends together today, still go out and have lunch together. You know, you planned it, go ahead and do it. There's a million places over there, including Marin Pizza, where you can go. So please still go and have lunch. I want to invite Lori Greer up to tell you about the Heart to Heart team. You'll find this back on the events table, Heart to Heart Ministry. This is a very special program that we offer here, and Lori is the head honcho for it. Can we get her mic?
Hello.
There we go.
Thank you. I wanted to share with you, I don't need it. I was gifted in the last couple of weeks with the transition and passing of my own father. And what I learned in that experience is connected to Heart Ministry because my wise daughters taught me to ask for what I need. So I'm inviting everyone to remember that if you're going through an experience where it would be helpful for you to have meals brought to your home, there's a physical illness or anything that's happening in your life that it makes it so that you can't get to doctor's appointments or anything like that, or anyone that you know who is a friend of this community, that's what community is. And it's something that I've learned through this experience, that sometimes we have to go out of the comfort zone and actually ask for people to support us in this way. And what I can tell you is that it's a profoundly deep and meaningful gift to be the receiver. So I invite you to look to this pastoral care team that's called Heart to Heart Ministry here at Golden Gate Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. And if it would be helpful to take something with you to remind you of that, these are back on the back table, the flyers. Also, you'll find the Roll Out the Barrels flyer. It tells you everything you need to know about the food drive that we're doing, what they need to receive, and all of that. Or if you just want to make a financial donation, which they'd also love, there's a box on the back events table where you can do that. Each of the next 3 weeks after today, we will continue to do this with the food. So if you're wondering what they need, take one of these from the events table with you as a reference guide, put it on your refrigerator or next to your shopping list so that next week you can bring some of those things with you. Also, I've been mentioning that Betty Riddell's husband passed, Rob Riddell, and some of you knew them. And we have 2 cards back on the events table for Betty that you can feel free to sign, but also, if you want to, you can send her a card, and this is the address. She may not be so aware of it at this point herself in her life, but her family will appreciate it and they will know. So if you know Betty and you want to do that, you can either sign one of our cards or you can go ahead and send her one. Also, Thanksgiving is coming up, and on Thanksgiving Day in the morning, there's going to be a breakfast at Jett Walker's home that is a video link with our sister community in Ukraine, because their minister over there, Reverend Barbara Leger, who's often here, has brought them into the tradition of Thanksgiving as a way to increase their experience of gratitude and abundance in their lives. And so they're having dinner while we are having breakfast. And so those of you that would like to participate in that breakfast, do we have a sign-up sheet for that? We didn't do that yet, did we? No. But keep it in your mind, because we'll have one so that Jett knows who's coming and what's happening with all of that. And we have often had a community family Thanksgiving dinner at somebody's home. We don't have a person who's volunteered to host that yet. It might be you. So check inside and see if it is. If it's you, let us know so we can tell people. All right? Also, there are sign-up sheets in the back for welcome men and for altar angels. If you would like to participate in creating one of these beautiful altars, they are not difficult to do. And Karen Frost, who's back in the back here, stand up for a second, Karen. Karen is the head of that team, and if you have questions about being on the team or how to do an altar, Karen would love to coach you through that. And we would welcome additional participants in that. You see the guys get up here every Sunday and say they're members and they're welcoming you. Well, if you'd like to be a welcome man, you can also put your name on the list back there, and we'll get in touch with you and let you know what happens there. And finally, if you are a member at Golden Gate and you are a Scorpio, this is your time, and you get a free birthday checkup. If you're a member, go over here, get the coupon. You can choose a practitioner who's available for that and make an appointment. Their phone numbers are all on the list. I think that's it, amazingly. For this morning, I'm actually going to let you leave. Can you believe it? Stand up with me now for the benediction and the closing song. Take hands with the people around you. And Iron Man, come on back, hon. We're going to blast off. We can't do it without you, buddy. Okay, let's join together by saying, I now walk, so that whoever walks beside me dwells in the presence of God, and whoever places a hand in mine is lifted, and whoever thinks of me is illumined with God consciousness, for spirit and all people and I are one eternally. And so it is. It's in it. Halloween!